One chapter does not define a person's whole story. Welcome to our Journey of Recovery series, where we talk with Montanans who have lived experience of trauma, substance use, and struggles with mental health about where they are now. The Substance Abuse and Mental Health Services Administration, or SAMHSA, defines recovery as a process of change through which individuals improve their health and wellness, live a self-directed life, and strive to reach their full potential. Join us to learn about community members in recovery as they share their story and the steps they are taking to help others on their journey. I'm excited about this whole project. So why don't, if you don't mind, go ahead and introduce yourself. Let us know a little bit about you.
My name's Kelvin Gone the third. I'm a Ani and Omaha tribal member. My dad's from Fort Belknap and my mother's from Mason, Nebraska. And I reside in Great Falls, Montana right now. I've been here for 13 and a half years. Uh, my folks and my siblings, they all live in Nebraska. I am the student ambassador at Montana State University College of Great Falls.
Okay.
I will also work at the Indigenous Education Department for the Great Falls Public Schools as a youth development specialist. So those are my two jobs part time. I just graduated. I just got my degree, an AA degree in substance abuse counseling Saturday.
Oh, congratulations. That's
Thank
awesome.
you. I'm 48 years old and I was in active addiction for 22 years. I was 34 when I decided to change my life. I like watching football, basketball. I also like powwows. I'm also a Native American singer. I like powwows and round dances and hand games.
Oh, great.
So yeah, I like doing a lot of those activities, um, cultural stuff.
What would you say your long-term plans or goals are?
My long term plan or goals would be I want to be a counselor, uh, to give back to um, other addicts and alcoholics that are coming into recovery and newly coming in recovery. Hopefully, I can give back what's freely given to me, and just be a beacon of hope, I guess.
Yeah.
Because somebody was there for me when I came in and helped me, guided me along, and gave me some hope that I didn't have in the beginning. And so, I guess this is my purpose. It's my passion to give back and help others since I've been on this path.
That's fantastic to give back especially because you received it and you want to give back. That sounds great. So when people learn about your lived experience in recovery, what kind of reactions do you see?
You know, honestly, I never really thought about that question.
Yeah.
So I don't really know, but I know that uh a lot of people that knew me back in my addiction are thankful that and glad that I don't use no more.
Yeah, that's
So I know that, and it's the what do you call it? It's like a testament of who I am today because back then no one really wanted me around. And now today I have tons of friends and family that just uh, look to me for guidance. Uh, I don't give advice. Only reason why I don't give advice is because if it doesn't work, they have someone to blame. So, so I do give my lived experiences that hopefully that they can find a direction they need to go in. I can just give them similar experiences that I had.
well, it sounds like you have a great support system and you're providing a good support system. So it's going both ways there. That's awesome.
Yeah.
What do you think people should know about someone who's in recovery? Like what would you tell somebody, or what was the one thing you think they should know about someone in recovery? Like, is there any time? I know some people walk on eggshells when they find out they're not sure what to say.
Um, I would probably have to say like I guess don't judge them, you know?
Yeah.
That's a big thing, because we don't know what people dealt with in their past to become addict or alcoholic. You know, some people lived hard lives, but never really shared what what happened to them or what they've been through,
Yeah.
and so they chose a different path at that time, and maybe it was to numb out or um, escape. And then when they finally get into recovery, they're trying to find out who they are because you know in my own experience, I didn't know who I really was. I mean, I had a lot of good teachings growing up, but I wasn't living up to those teachings. You
Right.
know, um, and so I was had a lot of guilt and shame that kept me out there. Um, but until I started coming into recovery and getting clean off the drugs and alcohol, I was able to clear my mind a little bit, so where I can grasp some things to know that not that I didn't know I was living not a good way, but to help me see that that's not the life I need.
Right.
And so someone coming in recovery, I probably just say share a little, show them a little grace because they're very fragile. When someone in recovery comes in recovery, they're very fragile and they're very sensitive. So like they're trying to find a new way of life, but if someone like treats them differently or negatively, that could also jeopardize their recovery and they go back because
Right.
they're like, well, what's the point then? So, and sometimes, it's not like trying to baby them or anything. It's just trying to help them out. And they have to find that accountability for themselves.
Hmm.
And once they do, I think that opens a lot of doors for them because in my own experiences, I blamed everybody before I came to recovery. It was all their fault. It wasn't none of mine. And I just because I couldn't see my side of the street, I couldn't see my faults, until I was able to clear my mind and take direction, which was really hard.
Yeah. I was going to say, going to recovery must be extremely difficult. I mean, that's a sign of strength to just say, "Hey, I need help." And that's a huge, huge thing, I'm sure. I mean,
Yes.
just from my experience with other things, but yeah, just trying to change your life, that's a huge decision.
Yeah, because an addict and alcoholic, they don't really ask for help. You know, um, and a lot of times it's because they don't want to look stupid or look weak or whatever. That's kind of how I looked at it. But it's huge when someone that's struggling with addiction asks for help, and for me being on this side now, walking in my journey, that's my part to give back and say, okay, you know what, let's do what we can to find you some help, or let's guide you in the right direction.
Yeah. Were there any recovery services or specific ones anyway that you benefit from, or any specific ones that you felt were most helpful?
Oh yeah, yeah, there's a few like outpatient or inpatient was one of them because like there was no way that I could get clean and sober um without being somewhere where I had to have that. I went to treatment for 37 days, so it took 37 days to like break that hold that the alcohol addiction had on me and the drug addiction. If I didn't have that, I don't think I'd have been able to succeed. But in those 37 days, I was able to like try to find or do my best to find what was ailing me inside,
Yeah.
you know, my core issues, in there I was able to process because we had a lot of counselors, treatment assistants, and speakers that would come in. So they were like giving us education um on the addiction and stuff and alcohol. And I think that was very important for me. A lot of it's because I controlled my own life for years, and I didn't do very well controlling it because I didn't have a a higher power, I guess they call it. Because you know, I didn't have time to pray out there, but I know like when I got into inpatient, it was like a spiritual experience.
Yeah.
I had to find something else that would help me along, like a power greater myself. And once I was able to open my eyes to that and actually given a shot, given it a try, I was able to find that power greater myself, even though it wasn't like, I can't see it, but an old timer, when I was in treatment, they would take us out to outside meetings, and this old timer, I was like, I'm struggling with the higher power. I mean, I've been spiritual all my life because I'm Native American. I'm born into spirituality, and I'd done a lot of stuff growing up, sweat lodges and stuff like that, and praying. But when I was out there using, I never prayed. I never really had the time, you know. It wasn't a priority. I was telling this old timer, I was like, I don't know how to find that. I know it's there, but I just don't know how. And then he told me, and at the treatment center where I was at had a deck on the back where you can go smoke cigarettes, and that's pretty much what you could do in treatment, So I went out there and he said, yeah, just sat on the deck back there. And he said, if when the wind hits your face, he said, you can't see it, but you can feel it. And that's a power grading yourself. And that made like a huge sense because I'm like hands-on see person,
Yeah.
And so when he explained it that way, made total sense, that really helped me in my journey to find my higher power.
That sounds powerful. So thank you
Yeah,
for sharing that. Yeah. And you said people came in and spoke. Were there any people who were currently or are still currently in recovery who came and spoke when you were at that treatment center?
oh yeah, well, there was a native guy. He came in. He was a big, tall native guy, and he shared his story. And man, like like he instilled hope in me because he was native, but also like I think at the time he might have had like I want to say 16 years consecutively clean or sober, and he shared his story, and I was just like, wow. I was like, okay, maybe I can do this,
Yeah.
and just by listening to him. And he actually became one of my good friends today. He's still one of my good friends. I think he just celebrated 29 years. And
That's fantastic.
yeah, so he's still in my life today. I didn't know him till he came in the treatment center and spoke, and I met him there, and then we just became friends after that. And he's still in my life today, and he still gives me guidance in my journey.
That sounds really impactful. That's amazing. Thank you for
Yeah.
sharing that. What advice would you give, or would you say, if you don't want to give a specific recommendation, to someone who's looking at potentially getting into recovery?
Well, if they're thinking about recovery, then maybe it's not so good out there right now what they're doing. So I would probably say, give yourself a chance.
Yeah.
Take a chance on yourself, because like I said, it's not easy to ask for help when you're out there running and gunning and people look down on you or judge you or, uh, you do a lot of damage when you're out there using. And, so it's not very easy for people to just say, oh, you want help right now? Okay, we can help you. It's not that easy
Yeah.
because you probably burned a lot of bridges to that at that point. I guess what I would probably say is I would share with them is that, are you tired of living the way you're living, and are you tired of what you're feeling? And if you are, then let's go get you some help. Because in that instant, they're willing to do whatever it takes to try something different or
Yeah.
do something different. I don't like that word try. I said it a couple times. I never hardly ever say it to you, but do something different. We tried all our life and never got anywhere. We have to do it by action. We got to do it to take action.
Did you have any difficulties finding recovery services that you needed? Or how difficult was it for you to get those services?
Actually, it wasn't really difficult when I came into the program because it was 2011 when I got clean and sober. And the recovery service that did help me, I went to inpatient. Then right after inpatient, I signed up for a sober living house, halfway house, and all over like Montana and Wyoming, and nobody wanted me. But Great Falls had a sober living here, and it was called Blue Thunder Lodge, and that place helped me tremendously. And through that going there, we had to go to outpatient, intensive outpatient, and that was another resource that helped me. And then once I graduated intensive outpatient, I went to outpatient. So I did like 3 treatments right in a row, plus staying at a halfway house. And at the halfway house, like um, I lived on the streets for a number of years, homeless, before I got clean and sober. And so when I went to the halfway house, they helped me. Like, I had to make my bed. I didn't have a bed for a long time, so, you know what I mean? So, I had to learn how to, not learn, well, I guess you could say learn, because when you're out there and you just give up on life, you don't have a whole lot of responsibilities, you know what I mean? You're just trying to survive day by day, get your fix, get your drink, by any means necessary, and, uh, that's that halfway house, Blue Thunder Lodge, it also, it showed me how to, like, take care of myself again, uh, clean my room, make my bed, cook dinner for the fellas once a week, clean the house, budget money, have a budget, get up and go to work, find a job, all these things that normally that we do naturally if we're not using, but when you're after using, those are the things that you don't really, if you're a real addict or a real alcoholic, you don't, you don't do those kind of skills, So, I had to relearn a lot of stuff in that halfway house, which was sounds today, it just sounds far-fetched from where I was, because I'm 13 and a half years sober and clean now. So, it's just so far-fetched where I started to where I'm at today. But,
Yeah.
I had to relearn a lot of things in that, uh, beginning of my recovery.
Well, I mean, that's amazing. You just said you just graduated on Saturday, so going from relearning kind of those daily tasks um, to really making that accomplishment happen. That's amazing.
Thank
Yeah.
you, I appreciate that.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, the older I get, the more I understand, like, there's a lot going into all the things that we do on a daily basis, so, um, yeah, that's amazing.
Yeah, yeah, so I'm just prolonging my life, yeah, I'm 48 now, it's just crazy. I'm doing everything backwards, which is crazy or profound, I guess, because it's like, I mean, I feel like if I woulda just, dealt with my issues in the beginning when I was younger and had that mindset, maybe I'd who knows where I'd be right now at 48, but I think sometimes we just go through life. We have to go through the things we have to go through to get us where we're at today,
Yes.
and I don't know, just uh, it was it was tough in my addiction, and I'm just thankful I survived and I'm able to come out of there and uh, help others now. And I try to do my best to be part of the community and help wherever I can. And
It sounds like it ultimately gave you another purpose, another, um, kind of goal for your life, so
oh yeah,
you can talk
yeah.
about the blessings that come out of it.
Oh yeah, a lot of blessings. It's hard work, but it's worthwhile. I mean, the longer I'm in recovery, the more that I lose people,
Yeah.
because I mean, I meet some really amazing people in recovery, and there's sometimes they're on fire and they go good for a while, and then they just slip, and sometimes they make it back, and sometimes they don't, and that hurts the most when they don't make it back, and that's it's sad, and today, I have feelings I can feel today. I guess that's a blessing too, but it's your time it hurts and it's sad when you lose really good people that you know that, geez, probably could they had so much potential.
Yeah, that's gotta be tough.
Yeah.
Are there any supports in place for, people who work in recovery services dealing with those kind of tough emotional parts
Well,
of
I
the
mean,
job?
counseling, I guess you had to
Yeah,
reach out, I have a few counselor friends here that I do reach out to when I need someone to talk to. Uh, but also being graduating from the program here at MSU, Great Falls College, substance abuse counseling. Once we become counselors, we definitely should have a counselor helping us.
right.
So, so that's another big thing, like, because this is not an ending journey. Like, you just don't get clean and sober and then you're done and life's going to get better. It's not like that. Sometimes it gets worse before it gets better, especially early in recovery because you done so much damage. I mean, there was so much damage that was been done that you have to go and clear away the wreckage. And sometimes it gets worse before it gets better. But as long as you stay the course, life does get better. It has its ups and downs. It's not always going to be happy and joyous and free. You're going to have the sorrow times, the sadness, the loneliness, and all that. It goes both ways. It's a balance. You can't have the good without the bad. And it's always a balancing thing. And that's one thing I had to learn early on um, in my recovery is that just because sometimes when I got clean, I thought, oh, everything's gonna be so much better and all this and that, but yet life still happens, and life's unfair. Life's really unfair, but the services that did help me get where I'm at instilled tools in me, um, and skills that I use today to, navigate through the hard times in life, and not only that, like, even the good times in life because I'm an addict, I'm an alcoholic, so I sometimes get amnesia, I forget the bad, and that's just the truth. And I always have to be mindful if life's going so good that I can't just not get up and pray or not get up and call my sponsor or not get up and say, well, I'll just do that later, and then it could be a slippery slope because you forgetting what got you here, the actions that you took to get where you're at. And, I guess that's what I'm saying by amnesia, when it gets good, because life does get good at times.
Yeah, I definitely understand what you were saying about kind of just, like, blocking it out, the
Yeah.
the bad, so that you don't have to think about it, so and I'm glad that you have supports, especially with that counseling degree, um, to help go through. I mean, that just sounds like a really tough situation when you're helping people and you really connect with them.
Also, like, early on in my recovery, like, therapy was the best, it was the key, like, I had a therapist for almost 10 years, and then I went away for a little bit, but I came back and I have a therapist in town that, if I call this therapist, she'll see me whenever she gets a chance, if she has time. And then and there was just, like, so many awesome people out there that actually helped me get started in this journey, and I can't name them, but I was like, I wish I could name them all, but man, so many people have been part of my journey that, I'm thankful for them, and, the creator always he has a way of, putting people in your path at the right time, right moment to, guide you, whether it's good or whether you're having a bad time or a good time. He has ways to put people on your path to guide you along and to help you learn. And that's one thing that I always have to remember is I have to remember to remain teachable. You know,
Mhm.
can't can never say I got this thing because once you do that, then that's probably that could be the beginning of your downfall.
I could definitely relate to that, like, just the overconfidence and then delay down from there, so
Yeah, my dad, man, he passed away. It'll be 5 years on May 30th. But I would call him and I would call him and say, "Oh, Dad, you know what? I'm doing this over here. I'm doing this and that and that." And he would always never failed. He always say, "Don't get grandiose, son." And it's like I'm telling him all this good stuff, but then he's like, "Dish," on my head, like, "Don't get grandiose." So now, like, since he's not here, but I could still like hear him in my head.
Yeah. It sounds like you've made that into a powerful tool for yourself. So that's
Oh yeah,
great. Yeah.
yeah, like
Well, thank you. We really appreciate you doing this with us and, um, yeah, being willing to sit down with us and talk and tell your story and kind of all those all those things you mentioned, like being so impacted by someone else with lived experience and being that inspiration for someone else, hopefully. So we appreciate it. Thank you.
you're welcome. Appreciate it. Appreciate the opportunity. Yeah.